All right, everyone, we should be live on YouTube at the moment. Yes, I am aware that there's still almost an hour to go until the White House address. However, just a sec, make sure we're actually live on YouTube. Yeah, okay. I figured that I would start this early so that we could riff on Joe Biden. Just a sec. This isn't actually Peak Boomer. Peak Boomer is the other time when I didn't even have any audio. I do know how to screen share now, actually. However, I've got to pull my YouTube page up. Just give me a moment. I don't have two screens here to work with, so it takes a little bit longer to do things. My content, my live streams, my live reaction. How glorious. I've got to mute myself, but yeah, can't mute that all because then I can't drag on the Biden address. By the way, I'm going to need help from all of you out there. As soon as the White House goes live, I need you to tell me. Don't worry, I'm still calibrating things a little bit on my end. We're already at 1 BLU, Biden loser unit, 300 viewers. That's what Biden usually gets on his White House addresses. So if you get 300 people on a live stream, you're already as popular as the President of the United States. Asterisk administration, of course. I will be doing live super chats here. Oh, now I've got to change this, actually. I'm not used to this format where I'm actually going to be having screen sharing going. RevX, after only 1 week of legitimate MSM criticism, Biden's followers are screeching fake news already. Their infighting and cannibalization is delicious. Yeah, well, I mean, that happens with anyone. That's not even partisan. Even Trump's people did that. When the legacy media legitimately criticized him, though, it was drowned out because all of the illegitimate criticism made it worthless. So when Donald Trump said, well, we should maybe look into reopening CIA black sites, to torture foreign combatants, it was a crazy idea, but it was drowned out. Nobody even talked about it. Elementarius. Hey, Sticks, missed you earlier, chat live. But the ammo thing was interesting. Going to check out Gettysburg in 2 weeks. Tours booked. Gettysburg, definitely after lights out. You can see some ghosts there probably. See some spirit lights. But yes, to those who are just joining, of which there are hundreds of you, I will be live reacting to Joe Biden. This time I'll be screen sharing. And my hope, I've pretty much learned how to get audio. I have to use Chrome in order to do this. I can't do it on Opera. Only Chrome works. It's the only way that you can use the actual tab and have audio unless you want to share the full screen. And of course, I don't want to do that because I want to have myself on the side. So I am learning. I'm doing the thing. Give me a little bit of credit. I know I'm a boomer when it comes to tech. Adam the Spaghetti Fanatic. What's with the impromptu live stream? Did legitimate POTUS Biden find more people to blame for what's going on in Afghanistan? He will be live supposedly in a little bit less than an hour. Of course, there will be a lead up to that. I need people here. You need to contact me on stream here and tell me when the White House live stream goes live. And I'll tell you why. I'd use WAPO or New York Times, Fox, anything like that. The problem is that they can attack you for copyright infringement if you do that. Even if it's just them restreaming the White House. The fact that you're piggybacking off their channel, they think they're entitled to it. So it becomes a big problem. Other people have had this issue. Ben Mex, $9.99, no comment. Thank you. We're going to be riffing on Biden for quite some time here. The media is pushing hard nonstop on reentry. It's hard to even watch when you know what they're doing. Yeah, some of them want us to go back into Afghanistan. What a wonderful idea, everyone, right? It's not like that war has been going on since I was in middle school. It's not like it gets a little bit old at some point. Trust me. Yee, buddy. Sarah Miska, 9.99. No comment again. Thank you. Catawin. Been subscribed for over 5 years. Magically, I was unsubscribed due to no part of my own. That happens commonly. I've been unsubscribed to people as well. Par for the course for YouTube these days. Peter Boson. How can I share links with you, Sticks? You'd have to use Twitter DM. I don't generally give out my email. That's just for business. Very small number of people that I know personally. No one. 4 times on YouTube in one day must be a clanking disaster. Well, I'm sure Biden's speech will be. Brandon Wabe. Where do you see Afghanistan in 5 years? Seems like China wants to be the Taliban's ally. Yeah, they do. Afghanistan in 5 years will still be the Afghanistan of today. It's just there will be Chinese troops there instead of U.S. troops. Bear Business 1, make sure you do stuff to avoid the copyright flag nonsense. Flip image or use an opaque screen over stream. Yeah, that's why I'm going to use the official White House stream, because the White House can't claim copyright. If they tried, that'd be hilarious. Adam the Spaghetti Fanatic. Give the war another year. It will be legally allowed to buy a beer. Yeah, it's 20 years old now. We've been in Afghanistan for most of my life and all of my adult life. Isn't that wonderful? Killing civilians and all of that stuff. Alamandorius. Ghost tour is indeed booked. If I see any ghosts, I'll ask them to go haunt the Dems, Scrooge style. You should ask them to vote Democratic. They seem to do that anyway, though, so it would be a losing endeavor. Also, find myself unable to hate Biden. Just the people who forced a demented old man onto the world stage as a spectacle. You should still blame him. He had the presence of mind to decide whether to run or not. He was still with it enough at that time. He decided some time ago. He still deserves blame. Janet, awesome show. What's your take on the U.S. future? Would it ever become a communist country? No, and I covered this earlier briefly. I don't think the U.S. will become communist because communism has, it's failed completely. Even most leftoids don't use it as a term. They consider it a dirty word, and they strenuously avoid using it to describe themselves. RevX. The White House YouTube channel is hilariously downvoted on every single video, and they disable comments. Truly the most popular president through history. Yeah, it's going to be fun. The dude from Blind Melon. Sticks. I want my look back. Andrew Hardiman. Think Syria will be next. No, they already tried that. And they fucking failed. Good. It's good that they failed in Syria and Egypt, by the way, before that. Adonis Adams. I've been feeling depressed lately, and I'm curious how you're able to stay hopeful during these trying times. Because I realize that all things must pass, and lots of evil comes forth in any generation. Now you just have to roll with it. Look for ways to subvert it. Leon Hemmings. Create chaos as a justification for more control. P.S. The global tax advocates at the OECD don't pay income tax. Oh, yeah. Well, they definitely want more control and more taxes. Alamandorius. I do blame him, dislike his policies, but I can't hate him. All the other idiots, on the other hand. I don't hate Biden either. I don't hate any of these people. I just think that they're shit fucks. James Curran. Hurricane stops New York City. We're back. Show appropriate. Yeah, New York City is getting hammered by Hurricane Henri at the moment. Ramsey Alouil. Hey, I never see you in Amsterdam. Great show. Yeah, I'm not in Amsterdam anymore. We're in Enschede. We're at the other side of the Netherlands, actually, now. Freedom Come. Do you think France will have civil conflict? I think they already do, and it's a good thing. The people of Hawaii. Sticks. We want our shirts back. This one's one of the Chinese knockoff ones, actually. I have a bunch of vintage, but it's harder to get them in my size because I need them long. Otherwise, it doesn't cover up my belly because I'm extra tall. My body is deformed. I guess I'm like Destiny. Who he pussied out last night with Mark Collette. Alien Fire 223, do you think the next Fallout game should take place in the mountains of Afghanistan? Chinese Paladin faction, maybe? No, it has to take place in the US, although it would be nice to have the Chinese remnant more mentioned in it. Isaac Yidum, can you shout out my homie, Sean Ranklin? Well, consider him shouted out. Sean Ranklin. Look him up, I guess. King Salmonfish, supervillain filter. All this shit is purposeful. People believe they're doing the right thing. Emotional facts suited to perceptual context persuade. Supervillain filter. The Arcadian 300. You've heard of Montreal anti-vax passport protests. Last Saturday, 100,000 marched. Wake up, Australia. Yeah, there are huge protests against some of the lockdownerism in parts of the world. Not as much in the USA, sadly. Polyfrog64. Now that ISIS and Al-Qaeda have shown up to the airport, do you think the Americans trapped in the city are screwed? Should Biden admin be impeached? Biden should never even have been in that office, considering the situation. I don't think he'll be impeached for it. I think a lot of people are just scared Kamala will become president, so they'll leave him alone. Yeah, it's funny, though. ISIS did force the U.S. military to reroute the movement of people, U.S. citizens, into the Kabul airport. Cats are tearing into each other again. This happens all the time. Joshua Bryson, we don't need Afghanistan. Wasting money is easier with climate crisis and the coup. So fuck our allies, trapped civilians, etc. Yeah, that's definitely true. Yeah, money laundering is easy with climate change because you can just do taxes and shit like that. Liz is the cat wrangler at the moment. Kenneth West, did you like Midsommar? Yeah, it was a good movie. It wasn't one of my favorites, but it was definitely, it was watchable. I like the pagan aspect. Opinionated Junkie, have you played Deus Ex 2000? No, I actually haven't. Steve Aoki is Chinese spy. Andy 6, creamy and steamy. Yes, and crenellated with bits of corn, actually. His fucking log slitting down your whore throat. Matthew Minutes, you destroyed that CCP simp the other day. That was Logo Daedalus. On BTR, he couldn't keep up with you and tried to hit you below the belt a few times. You remained classy. Yeah, I knew that he was going to go after my books because he literally forewarned me on Twitter that he was going to do that. I love it when people that I'm going to debate start making tweets, like amping themselves up and, be like, oh, I'm strong, I'm powerful, and shit like that. Anomaly did this too. I don't understand it. Keep your cards close to your chest or you lose the poker game. Cheese. I happen to think Phil Scott might be the successor to Bernie Sanders as senator. His party affiliation won't matter, or he will run as independent. Unlikely. I think he wants to remain in-state. He wants to continue fucking Vermonters, not just fucking the whole country. His ambitions are more slight than that, I think. He's a very small man. Josh in Jesus. What would you think of a law that states any business owner that demands your vaccine status must show you their entire internet search history? I don't think they should demand jack shit regardless of what they do. Big Bush Ape Tits. Will the Afghanistan business speed up the demise of the USA dollar? No, this has nothing to do with the U.S. declining and stuff like that. I've already explained the U.S. has only been an empire for not even quite a century now. Empires last 2 centuries. What you're seeing is the decline of neoliberalism, not of the United States. Our best days are ahead of us. It's always darkest before dawn. By the way, all of the far right and far left out there, they don't want you to know that. Opinionated Junkie, what was the real reason for the U.S. revolution? Gun control, actually. Attempts to confiscate military armaments from the colonists. That's literally the reason. That's why they were marching to Lexington and Concord and trying to confiscate an armory. It had nothing to do with tea taxes, as you've been told in your history class. Adam the Spaghetti Fanatic. After Afghanistan ends and COVID slowly goes out of the news cycle, what do you think the Biden admin will focus its attention on? No clue. They'll probably try to get out of the news cycle altogether like they did before. They were trying not to be too evident. Then Biden sadly had to come out and actually address people. Catawin, do you think they will clone the perfectly preserved 28,000-year-old lion cub that was found in Siberia? I didn't know about that. They don't need to clone it, though. There are lions around today. What they should be doing is trying to clone like woolly mammoths and dire wolves and cool shit like that. I made a video on de-extinction. I'm in support of it, so long as they bring back more than one member of the same species at a time with distinct DNA. That way they have something to interact with, to communicate with that's their own species. Otherwise, it's unethical. Elemendorius. Clank, clank. Styx's silver spoon came down upon their heads. Clank, clank. Styx's silver spoon made sure their words were said. Done to Maxwell's Silver Hammer by the Beatles. That's a good song, actually. I'd do it in tune, but it's a later in the evening. RevX, want to share a simple dinner recipe you enjoy? I like making stir fry. It's very simple. You just saute the onions off, get them browning up, some garlic too. You douse them with a bouillon base, actually, just like a soup base. It can be in a jar, something you made homemade. You can use a bouillon cube. Once that's going, you just add, most of the vegetables, and the cook time differs, so you have to time it out accordingly. If you add meat, you cook that separately and then add it at the end. A little bit of crunched up peanuts on top really makes it nummy. Multi-Drider, I like your death video because when I die, I want to be reincarnated in a Star Wars universe and be a dark Jedi mercenary and bounty. My lightsaber colors are red, blue, and orange. What colors you like? Now, black is my favorite color. I guess red and green are close second and third. It's funny because those are the colors of like African nationalism. I've always laughed about that. Justin Aldorfer, did you hear about the bill introduced, HR 4980, making it so you have to have the jab to fly in the U.S.? And when can we see you on Timcast? When I'm back in the U.S., I'd definitely be willing to go on Tim Pool's channel. Until I'm there, I think he's in New Jersey. I can't do that. I'm in the Netherlands at the moment. I think that bill would die in the courts. I don't think that it would be considered legitimate for the government to say you had to get a jab that isn't even fully approved by the FDA in order to fly domestically. I guess they're going to try to rush the approval beforehand. Still, I don't think it would stand up. I think SCOTUS would shoot it down. Dr. Yap, thoughts on Jared Taylor versus Michael Jones debate? Well, I would side with Taylor on that one. I debated Michael Jones as well, and it was basically a sermon. Dude looks like Bill Nye's religious cousin. He's very he's very hung up on the concept of porn. He thinks that's the biggest cultural issue of our times. Forced vaccination? It doesn't matter. War? Who cares? People are watching vaginas and penises. Depez, GTQ 35, no comment, thank you very much. The Great Awakening 199, no comment, thank you as well. Francis Montgomery, Sticks, did you watch The Death of Stalin on Netflix yet? It's extremely historically accurate. Oh, so does it have the part where he killed 20 million people? I'm just joking. No, I haven't seen it, no. Prince Charming, I warned Biden at the sex party this would happen. Foot kink runs in the family, by the way. Yeah, I imagine that he docks men with his toes. He's probably into that weird shit. Shinobi Kenobi, what do you think CCP-Taliban relations will look like? Dysfunctional, as with all Chinese diplomacy. Dr. Lich, do you think Trump 2024 will happen? And if so, who will his VP be? I think it's likely. I don't know who he'll choose. It can't be Pence. Pence is, he's gone. It can't be DeSantis because they're both Floridians, and there's a legalism against the same state being involved with the president and the vice president, so he can't choose Ron DeSantis. I don't know who he would choose. I would hope it'd be Rand Paul. Oh boy, that ticket. Not only I'd vote for it, and then I'd make like a Democrat and vote for it twice. By the way, disclaimer, that is quite literally a joke. I'm not a dead person, so I don't vote for the Democrats. Josh and Jesus, do you ever get tired of performing Madame Blue? I don't know what that refers to. So maybe, I don't know. Roughneck MP173. Biden puts restrictions on Russian-made ammo, yet released sanctions on Nord Stream pipeline. Guess that 10% to the big guy works well enough. Yeah, I'll be covering that tomorrow. That's going to be a big story. He wants to prevent Russian-made or Russian-branded ammo from entering the U.S., but, they can export all the energy they want to Europe. That's okay. So it's not about Russia. It's about trying to throttle the ammo supply. King Salmonfish, supervillain Afghan filter, play both sides, profit, secret conquest, kill and distract, greatest military threat, humiliate U.S., arm useful assets. Interesting. Anyway, I think there are too many super chats for me to go through. Let me check really quickly, see if the White House has its stream up at all. Yeah. Again, this is the first time that I've attempted to do the screen share thing. So, if it doesn't go off well, if you don't get audio or there's something wrong, it's entirely my fault. That and technology's fault. StreamYard, literally, the only way you can even get audio if you're screen sharing, unless you're full screening it and you're not on the side, it's literally just what you're showing, is if you use Chrome. So for gaming, it's perfectly fine. Otherwise, there's no problem. Otherwise, you have to use Chrome. There's 10 million comments here. I'd tell people to slow down with the super chats, but there's no way to do that. RDDR, is the far right a problem? How do we define it? The far anything is a problem usually. I don't know how to define it anymore. The far left thinks that the far right is anyone to the right of Bernie Sanders. So keep in mind, opinions are different. Opinionated junkie, Tim Pool is in West Virginia. I thought he was in New Jersey for recording purposes. I guess I have to go to West Virginia or something. Censor me, senpai. Screw it. Why not just annex Afghanistan at this point? Poggers. The problem is that you wouldn't have a port. You wouldn't have naval access. It's landlocked. It wouldn't be like annexing a country that had, maritime front. There is no navy in Afghanistan. It's in the middle of South Asia. Axiom. Are you and your wife thinking of moving back to the U.S.? If so, what state other than Vermont? I recommend Texas and Florida. Well, I don't really get on to that. I don't talk private business with regards to my content creation. I like Vermont, but, I'm biased because I've been there for a long time. I like New Hampshire, too. Texas, I did live there briefly. As far as Florida, too humid. I wouldn't move back to Florida. I was in the Tampa area for a few months one summer. It's a little bit oppressive to me. Danny Luckenheimer, thoughts on David Pakman and Kyle Kulinski? I can't remember which one it was, but one of those two was asked once in a live stream whether they'd debate me, and then they thought that I was a Holocaust denier, so they said that they wouldn't. Can't remember. Yeah, fuck them both. By the way, you'll see plenty of cat hair flying around here as I pet this kitty. Glow in the dark. Have you noticed that the bureaucracy of military and CIA are attempting to court leftists? Why do you think that they're trying this? Don't they know these leftists are anti-imperialist West? Yeah, but if you take out people that are anti-West, there's nothing wrong with that. Go ahead and gang stalk the leftoids. Who gives a fucking shit? Cunts. Depez, give me 2 words and I will write you a joke. Cunt and Biden. I'd like to see that joke. Lapco92, we couldn't call it China virus. That angered China. To stay consistent, they swapped the variant names from countries to Greek alphabet. Do you think they'll magically skip the 14th letter, G? Probably. The G variant? Oh boy. And it'll get to that point too. There's plenty of variants around. Leon Hemmings, I live in southern France. Lots of American expats here. The women eat too much and talk loudly. No effort to learn French. They're all Democrats. Yeah, it's hard to learn foreign languages, so on that one I won't pass any judgment. I thought the French had an obesity problem too, though. I think. It doesn't come from eating snails. I did try snails a few times. I thought they were delicious, and those were the ones that you got in the Albertheim that were like refrigerated and shit. Can't imagine how good the fresh ones might taste with garlic and butter. Well, you know. Lucas Zupan, have you seen any of your fan-made parody videos? Yeah, I've seen hundreds of such videos. All of the Infotunes entries, among many others. No, I think they're great. When people make stuff that involves you, it is kind of an ego boost when you think about it. Sis Lord Soy Blue, have you ever heard of Tartaria? Is that a country named after tartar sauce? No, I haven't, to be clear. Flying Cloud, 2 pounds, no comment, thank you. Opinionated Junkie, thoughts on Ayn Rand? Yeah, I don't really have many thoughts on Ayn Rand. I'm not that kind of libertarian. Then again, I don't think she considered herself one either. I'm more in the classical liberal end. I just want government to fuck with people around less and get out of people's lives more. HF, in my opinion, you've been the only independent journalist or content creator that has held true, and I see zero grifting in your content. Thank you for keeping me level-headed in these crazy times. Oh, thank you very much. By the way, to everyone, again, before I go on to the next wave of super chats here, I will be live reacting to Joe Biden. He is going to be giving an address, supposedly. I'm monitoring the White House's page on YouTube. And in fact, I believe that oh yes, next up, President Biden provides an update on his administration's response to Hurricane Henri. I thought it was about Afghanistan. Okay. Well, anyway, I'm going to close out the live on that side. Now, I'm going to try this. I've never done it before. I am going to attempt here to share this page. Yes, Kitty, indeed. I'm going to try while sharing audio. I hope that this works. Yeah. And as you can see, my sellout fucking Chrome sharing out here. Now, can I resize this? Let me check this. I've never calibrated this for live. That doesn't change anything on your end, I think. Maybe it does. That'd be funny. Oh, that changes it. Yeah, I can fuck with you all. Yes. Yeah. So President Biden provides an update on his administration's response to Hurricane Henri. Now, I was of the impression, based on what I had seen, that he was addressing the Afghanistan evacuation. Well, I can't do anything on that tab without fucking around. All right. I'm reading the live chats, the super chats from the other window now. We'll wait while Biden gets injected with his anti-dementia drugs. Doc, if I missed anyone, and I'm sure that I did, I do apologize for that. But I mean, I have to close that tab out in order to have this one actually in screen share. It will have audio, supposedly, when it actually comes live, which should be 25 minutes from now or so. You talking to me? Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. Dr. Fox 2000, take my money. Very, very gladly. Eat some Red Bull. Roscoe P. Coltrane, good evening from Baltimore. Excellent. Never been to Baltimore. There was a good song, was it Strawberry Alarm Clock, I think, did back in the 60s called Barefoot in Baltimore. And it was very, very trippy. It's a good song, by the way. I used to love psychedelic rock even more than I do now. Liam Hemmings. No obesity here, although it is increasing. One thing I admire about the French is that they riot regularly and disobey orders in everyday life. Mask wearing is not popular and not enforced in the regime. I thought it was like mandatory and shit there. Macron's nuts. Should be, they should treat them like they did people during the French Revolution. Adam the Spaghetti Fanatic. It's okay, Sticks. It's not the size of the screen that matters. It's the motion of the ocean. Yeah, unless you have eyes. That's a big problem. So yeah, I've gotten through these super chats. I know there were probably a few that I missed, although not necessarily. I do apologize for that. Biden will be addressing the nation, talking about Hurricane Henri. Again, I figured he was talking about Afghanistan because that's what was literally mentioned in the news reports, but I don't know. Is there any way for me? Yeah, there's no way for me to do that either. Yeah, you can see some of the people that I follow. Newsmax, RT, Al Jazeera. By the way, I do that for trolling purposes, not for news purposes, because they're all fucking useless. The White House, Break the Rules, which I was just on actually with Logo there, Logo Daedalus. Beat the shit out of him. Stern Daily 2. By the way, if you like classic Howard Stern, Stern Daily 2, they live premiere, I think, once or twice a day. All the good shit from 97, 98, like the golden age of Howard Stern. Watch it. Rebel News, bunch of other people. I don't know. I'll keep that confident because, you know, some of those people there are actually like people that I communicate in real life. So I don't know if they would even want me talking about the fact that I followed them. Like, oh, why did I gain 1,000 people and they have completely different political beliefs? So, I'm sorry, kitty. Here, you can come forward. Oh, if you want to. Come on. You know how to do it. I'm trying to do it around these earbuds. No? You don't want to come forward? Okay. Maybe. Yeah, you can go on the table. It's amazing, isn't it? It's a flat surface you can stand on. I'll get to some more super chats here. While we wait for Joe Biden. It might take him longer than expected, though. Got to realize when you're that old, it takes you some time to get at the podium. Joseph P. Biden. Who cares about the Taliban? Come on, man. That's where Corn Pop gets his cocaine. Yeah, and his heroin as well. Glow in the dark. How long do you think never Trumpers like Bill Kristol will support Biden? With all the mistakes Biden has made, the only one he is angry about is withdrawal. It shows to me he cares more about foreign projects than Americans. Well, I mean, he's Bill Kristol. You can't blame him. He's a boomer Republican. You know, he's got some issues. Sean Giblin, 140, no comment. Thank you. Josh in Jesus. You're the best in the world at what you do. Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. Although I don't think that I'm actually the best at this kind of commentary. This is literally the first time I've done a live reaction that I actually have the screen share on. I'm going to try. Technological constraints apply because I'm not really good at this. Just like I tried to build a drawer earlier, Liz had ordered one for like, socks and shit. I fucked up. I don't know what I did wrong, but now it's a cupboard. It's not quite for clothes. Someone you may know, give that kitty a treat. Also, 100% agree on Florida. Yeah, the humidity does it for me. If it were a little bit less humid, it'd be paradise. And, if it wouldn't be underwater, if you ever had a small tidal wave. I don't believe in the climate change putting it underwater, but if a meteorite that's more than 10 feet wide ever hits the Gulf of Mexico, half of Florida's gone. So I don't like those odds. I prefer living in the mountains. And pine trees are cool. Even though the pine trees, when they're fucking each other, makes me sneeze. Big problem. Sam M. Ever seen Colony? Mass depopulation event. Davos would take over. Global martial law. Alien subservitude. Now, I've never seen that, but it sounds good. Caitlin Trigg. What do you think of Manly P. Hall, Carl Jung, and Rudolf Steiner when it comes to occultism? Are they good to read? I've edited a couple of Manly's works, and I think a couple by Steiner. I've never edited anything by Jung. I like all three. I think Steiner is the most interesting of the three in general. He did Occult Significance of Blood, which actually is one of the greatest occult works I've ever read. If you're into the anthropological and scientific side of the occult, like the historical sort of, especially eugenics era analysis of the spiritual, definitely get Occult Significance of Blood by Rudolf Steiner and read that. Very, very interesting work. The Geth. Can non-leftists protest vaccine mandates by mass quitting our jobs and applying for welfare? Yeah, I mean, you can. I would never want to do that. But then again, my job, how do I quit my job? Delete my YouTube channel and my Amazon page? I'm in a little bit of a, and this is something I have to keep in mind when I analyze things. I'm in a different boat than like 99.9% of the population because of the manner of the work that I do. which is hilarious. Like, if you had told me 10 years ago, like, what I'd be doing right now, I would have called you crazy and called the funny farm. Jared Stowe. Elon Omar is watching Afghanistan while running on all fours and drooling like a Labrador. She actually is capable of walking upright. I know this is difficult to tell from some videos of her. Like, she was asked literally a couple of hours ago, getting on the tarmac off the plane. She was asked about the situation in Afghanistan. She did that same psycho laugh that she always does. Did you see that? It's surreal. She does it every time she's questioned. Without any exceptions, every goddamn fucking time that bitch is questioned, she like, hey, do you have any comment on the fact that you've got kids in like concentration camps right now? Hey, how about those Afghan people? You know, they're being, slaughtered and raped and shit. I don't even understand it. It's like, you could at least pretend to kind of have emotions. Opinionated junkie. Joe Biden is like McCain being elected. It's worse. John McCain, up until the end, was reasonably cognizant. He was still evil, but I mean, he wasn't demented. Till the end, he had, brain cancer and stuff. I still remember all the rhinocons complaining when I was chuckling about him dying and going to hell. It's like, come on, dude. He's responsible for so many deaths. Just let the issue drop. Take the L. Let him be in hell, roasting on a spit. He's being spit roasted right now by a couple of demons with 5-foot cocks, and who fucking gives a fucking shit? ATL Sooner. What do you think about Australia shooting rescue dogs to combat COVID? I did see it. It's nuts. Apparently in Australia, in north southwest, I think, because of their lockdown there, they shot a bunch of rescue dogs there because they didn't want the owners showing up to like take them or something. Yeah, talk about a good way to get Australians to protest. They're like, oh, we could have used that for some good meat. Gunju. We need to organize against the authoritarian globalists on a global level. Humanity first movement when? I wouldn't support that. I think it's each nation for itself and each nation first among its people. I think that we all need to get together and not fuck each other in the ass. But at the end of the day, we also have our separate cultures, languages, and stuff. And I think that's a good thing. Like I said years and years ago, if I go to India, I'm not eating at McDonald's. I want to eat Indian food and shit. I don't want some watered down tourist bullshit. I want real shit. I want to see what other cultures are really about. I don't care if sometimes I disagree with what they do. I just want it to be genuine. Ms. Kim, 1223. Do you expect Trump to run in 2024? Do you think he will win? Also, do you think his running mate will be? I addressed this earlier. I think he's likely to run, although not certain. Health issues definitely apply at his age, and that is possible. He would win if he does run, assuming that he's not incapacitated. I have no clue who his running mate would be. It can't be DeSantis because they're both Floridians now. It probably wouldn't be Pence. I don't know who he would choose. Then again, honestly, I didn't expect him to choose Pence. So, yeah, it could be anyone. If he chose Rand Paul, I'd be like beating off in a closet. Again, if I was a Democrat, I would vote twice. Yellow Airman. Good work destroying that CCP shill in the debate the other day. Yes, Logo Daedalus, the Chinese apologist. Joseph Biden. And Taliban guys are doing a good job protecting American soldiers. Yeah, unfortunately, ISIS involved now. The JV team is back. Biden wasn't even fucking president for a year, and ISIS came roaring back to power. The Geth, defund the Capitol Police. Yeah, the Democrats would be calling for that if Ashley Babbitt were black. Alex Karras, Sticks, I think it would be fantastic if you were on a Sitch, an Adam stream, or even just an Adam Friended stream. Probably already have a ton of fan crossover. Yeah, I like going on streams with people. It's pretty fun. By the way, we have over 4,300 people watching, and we're still probably about 15, 20 minutes out from Biden speaking. I think most people are going to tune in for me. Who the fuck would tune in for Joe Biden? They're just hoping that he gets fucking ridiculed like the idiot he is. I'll butter your muffin. I prep for shit hits the fan event. My friend who's choosing to be handicapped is prepping for when the world blows up. What the fuck? Yeah, you should always have a couple of weeks supplies on hand anyway. I mean, there could be a bad storm. You lose power for 3-4 days. You'll be the life of the party. Isn't that great? You don't have to wait for, like, civil war or anything like that. You should prep anyway. Everyone's in the path of a storm, a tornado, a hurricane, blizzards. There's no place on earth that's truly stable. At all times, you should have at least 2 weeks of supplies on hand to survive with. Lynn Lorenko, do you expect an American hostage situation in Afghanistan to happen? Do you think it is happening now and we aren't being told? Where's Nancy Pelosi? Is she still alive? Yeah, there was a video of her at a donors meeting actually from the other day in Napa Valley with all the rich people that gave her thousands of dollars to eat a plate of food and listen to her ramble incoherently. We already have a hostage situation, fundamentally. That's the sad part. It's Jimmy Carter 2.0, only without Jimmy Carter's honesty. At least he was willing to fucking admit when he was wrong. Ghost of Recon, thanks for all the awesome analysis based sticks, man. Thank you. Jack O'Neill, the best way to get foreign food is to marry a foreign national. My wife is Mexican, and I get the best Mexican food ever. Tex-Mex is bland in comparison. By the way, I actually cook authentic Mexican tacos and things like that, enchiladas. I do it the real way. And I don't do it the cosmopolitan, like urbanite Mexican way. I do it like little old 70-year-old Mexican granny way. So it takes longer. It's greasy. It's not healthy, but it tastes amazing. That's how I make tacos. That's how I make enchiladas. And lots of spiciness. None of this Anglo horse shit. Oh, it's spicy. I put a dash of black pepper in it. I'm allowed to insult people on that. I used to be married to a Mexican years ago. Lucas Casaletto. Hey, Sticks, love your stuff. Do you think David Chipman has any chance of getting confirmed? Yeah, unfortunately. The Democrats probably love the idea of a dude who doesn't understand guns heading the ATF. Everyone else they elect is clueless. Yeah, Feinstein, she might resign soon. Newsom's recall, big problem there. Biden's demented. Of course they want to confirm Chipman. President Joe Biden, come on, man. What do you mean I'm not doing good work? If you don't say I'm doing a good job, you aren't well, you know. You do a good impression over text only. NM190, you should go onto a Nick Rekieta stream. He would be willing to work with time as he has streamed with others in European time. Yeah, I've heard of him multiple times. I'd like to go on one of these streams. Omnar, Goldman, RGLH, my City of Heroes Academia is back. We have cake. The cake is a lie. Caitlin Trigg, any thoughts on Agenda 2130? Do you think some conspiracy theories have been proven right recently? I think that the term conspiracy theory is the biggest conspiracy theory. It's a propaganda effort. Much of what you've been told is wrong is actually right, and much of what you've been told is right is wrong. Just look at the history of medicine. 20 years ago, if you ate an egg, you would die of a heart attack. Now we realize eggs are a good source of proper fat and protein. Red meat was the enemy. Then it was good. Corn binders were all right. Now we realize they're problematic. Sugar used to be a health food in the 50s. No one. When people ask how I know things before they become mainstream, I point them to you as one of the sources. Thanks for keeping me in the loop. You're very welcome. Make sure to stock up. Sabercat, how's your Dutch coming along? Oh, jumped here just a sec. I tried learning Japanese, very difficult. Dutch is much less hard, I'm sure, than Japanese. I can string a few basic sentences together. I know a lot of terms. It's just that actually utilizing them, you have to be quicker if you're in conversation. It's much easier to slowly work through things, but I am picking up speed over time, I've noticed. Like I can go to the store and I actually know what I'm reading now. So it's it's faster than I expected. William Amiot. Please play the audio on the stream. Rewatching the last stream was impossible. Yes, I should have audio on this stream. It's already technically enabled. We're just waiting for Biden, but he might be late. Now, just a moment, everyone. I need to get a quick drink and use the bathroom because Biden should be on probably in 10 minutes, although definitely the time is relative in DC. Trump definitely told us this as well. So I'll be back in a couple of minutes. BRB, and all that kind of stuff. I can't hear you. I've got earbuds. All right. No, you have to go on stream. I've returned. Many more super chats. All right. Trying to go down through this. I'm doing my best, but there's a lot of super chats when you got 4,500 people watching. And they've all disappeared, of course. Wonderful. Except for this one. Gerald Armstrong. Yes, I made it to a Styx live stream. Caitlin Trigg. Lord Kitty demands sacrificial treats. They get their treats in the morning. Every single morning I have to give them their treats. And because they don't get along with each other, I have to give them separately. So Yana always has her on the cat tree, and Farah always has hers on the floor close to the office area. They're carving out their territory. They're getting better. For 2 nights in a row, they haven't fucked each other over. So that's good. Anyway, for those of you just joining, I am waiting for Biden to be live. I expected this to be Afghanistan related, but it's saying, at least according to the stream here on the White House's official site, President Biden provides an update on his administration's response to Hurricane Henri. It's a French hurricane. That means snails and wine. If you go out in the rain, will you get drunk if you drink some of it? Epic Man 004. Cuomo talked about Hurricane Henri coming yesterday. Said it was going to be 80 to 100 mile per hour winds today and serious damage. Today, rain and no wind. Wish he cared that much about nursing homes and staff. I wish that he would just fucking disappear. Andy Cuomo is a baby raper. He spit roasts toddlers. You can say that legally now. It's not defamation. I mean, the dude's resigning anyway. Everyone knows he's a rapist. Troublesome boner. Aspartame is a neurotoxin. It can cause migraines or even stroke-like symptoms. My mom went temporarily blind and doctors thought she had a stroke. Yeah, but it's tasty. I don't know why they banned it. Don't ban all the cool chemicals. You know, you can have a stroke if you smoke crack, too. Yeah, that's probably fun. Ask Sleazy P. Martini about his crack addicts. Domestic terrorist. Hey, Styx. Any chance of you doing an interview with Stefan Molyneux in the near future? I don't mind organizing it if you don't have time. Just say the word. You could DM me on Twitter if you can get a hold of him. I don't have any contact info for him, actually. I'd like to talk to the dude. I'd like to platform him, have him on YouTube or something, because he got banned for no reason. I don't even know what he got banned for. Sayors. I'm afraid Republicans will win the next election just in time to take the blame. Their one true skill, until we make Dems pay, they will keep doing shit. Yeah, that's possible, but as a non-Republican, I don't really care who gets the blame. Biden obviously is getting it fairly squarely, considering his approval is now tanking and underwater. Benjamin Anonymous. Please shout out Benjamin the Dream Wizard. Legit psychological dream interpretation, interviews, and audiobooks of historical dream literature. Okay, you've got Benjamin the Dream Wizard shouted out there officially. Clank, clank. So many almost too many super chats actually to read them all. Politigil, how come live stream sound is different than your pre-recorded video sound? That's because I'm using the Logitech Brio at the moment for audio. Normally I use my external microphone. I can't actually hook that up and use my mouse at the same time because the Alienware laptop only has 2 USB ports. I will get a splitter eventually. I'm going to get a second screen as well. I'm going to have a whole setup here. It's going to be much more professional in the near future, but right now it's still, I'm bumming. I'm doing the best I can. Georgie Georgiev, hello man. If you ever come to the Balkans, give us a heads up. We will find you and threat you to some domestic and unique booze and food. Oh, treat you. As for Biden, I wonder what excuse he'll have now. Well, apparently he's going to be addressing the hurricane. I had heard that at 4 p.m. he was going to be addressing Afghanistan withdrawal. That was what it was billed as. We were all told he was going to be talking about the evacuation effort. I would change the tab here. I would sort of look into what I'm doing here. Yeah. Open this in a separate tab. Yeah, the only live one that they've got is Biden provides an update on hurricane horseshit. That's all that's there. I don't know what's going on. I was told he was going to be addressing the Afghanistan evacuation. I guess we'll have to fact check him on hurricanes. He'll probably blame climate change or some shit. John Naden, towards the new garden, mate. Thank you very much. Yes, there will be garden expansions going on. Godless Hedonist. This is my first super chat ever. As an American from Bangladesh, I'm only proud to be an American and happy to be a subscriber. Happy live stream. Oh, good for you. That's amazing. Excellent. Make sure to buy guns and ammo if you can find them in the gun store. Stephen Steele, hi Sticks, thoughts on crypto? Are you an investor in it? Yes, I have tens of thousands of dollars of cryptocurrency, and I'm very proud to admit to that. I bought into Cardano when it was at a low, this last low, and I'm going to buy more if it goes lower. I've got my own metrics for that. I don't give financial advice, though. So, I mean, yes, I'm bullish on crypto in general. I will say that. Dojo, $4.99, no comment, thank you. Uniboob, your empty chair made more sense than Biden. Yeah, I know, but that's a low-hanging fruit. It's very easy to upstage the so-called president. Gerald Armstrong, have you heard of the Mr. Reagan channel? He said that this was a disposable president for Democrats, but because of Afghanistan, Dems are infected with Biden's radiation. Yeah, the problem is that Biden is dragging them all down, and in the midterms, they're going to pay, I think, a hefty price for that. I don't even think that's up for debate. I think it's going to be a bloodbath. Get a pair with Sully. Michael Malice for press secretary. Sticks for VP. Razorfist for Secretary of Defense. Rakeda Law for AG. Yeah, I wouldn't want to be the vice president. I wouldn't want to be in any federal role. Then you have to move to DC. Can you imagine living there? Jesus Christ. Adam E., are you interested in a stream with the academic agent? Shout out from Plattsburgh. Oh, yeah, I've been in Plattsburgh. Yeah, possibly. DM me, or he can DM me with more info, or she, I don't know, with more info. Hugh James, fake news CNN, Jim Acosta says Trump praises the Taliban. Yeah, but he's always saying weird shit. He works for CNN, what do you expect? DG Property Management, a snake determined to eat its own tail is destined to succeed. Hail the Ouroboros. Lucas Zupan, do you know Liberal Hive Minds channel? Thoughts? I've heard of it. I don't think I've ever watched the content there, so I don't have any thoughts. Adagal13, if Trudeau wins a majority here in Canada in the fall, my wife and I are thinking of leaving the country. She's an EU citizen, PT, and we both work remotely. You can consider that. Canada is still not a bad country. Like overall, all things considered, Canada is reasonably free, except for the COVID bullshit. And Trudeau, I mean, eventually he'll be out. Although he's trying to make himself into the Canadian Vladimir Putin, I think, at this point. Cloudy9. Hi, you give all the hope for humanity, Sticks. Oh, I'm glad you think that. Omnar Goldman, Goldmain RGLH. City of Heroes is back. We have cake server rules. Didn't you say something about that before? The cake is still a lie. You can't fool me. Matthew Meditz, my bet is computers will be treated like guns soon. Oh, they already are. They're treated worse than guns. Look at what Apple's doing. Hey, think of the children. We want to go through your files. It's for the children. You don't want to support child molesters, do you? Let us look through all of your files. Let us delete things remotely and tell the Gestapo about all of your political material. I guarantee that's the real reason. If these companies, if these globalistic companies actually cared about the children, that they wouldn't be doing slave labor now, would they? For Apple to pretend that it cares about little kids? Horseshit. For totally different reasons. Sebastian Lee, thoughts on the Adirondacks in upstate New York? We have the best maple syrup, hands down. No, Vermont has the best maple syrup. And I say this as someone increasingly disenfranchised by the state of Vermont because it's run by fucking morons. Lone Wolf 30. No, it jumped. Hi, kitty. I'm trying to find. No, please don't. You can't use the keyboard. You don't have opposable thumbs. Lone Wolf 36 asks, if 25th, then Harris must be voted by Senate, which no longer has a deciding vote. What do you think will happen? Satan Queen Pelosi? No, Pelosi won't get in there. Shit, I'd rather have Kamala than Pelosi myself. At least Kamala Harris is young enough so she's not completely around the bend. Pelosi's fucking nuts. You see her at her speech the other day in Napa Valley with all of the donor class people there. And she's just saying weird shit and everyone's ignoring her. It's typical Pelosi. She was probably drunk, but, you know, in general, she's not coherent. Matthew Lindsay, hi from North Carolina. It's hotter than Joe Biden's seat here. His seat's at his age, his seat ain't on. He's not causing any friction at his age. Lucas Henry, check out Black Magic SS, super groovy music. Yeah, I've heard some of their work. I know that, aren't they supposedly like, I don't know, retro Nazis or something? Music is music is music. I listen to liberals. If they make good music, who cares? Georgie Georgiev, curse you, English, by the way. I work from home for 2+ years now, and it's driving me insane. I got used to work in the office and socialize there. Yeah, see, I'm antisocial. I'm anti-socialization. I'm anti-socialist. I'm anti-going out anywhere. Literally, I would live in the basement if I could. I don't think that's a bad thing. Keep to yourself. Matthew Phillips. Hey, Sticks. Thanks for subbing to Rebel News. They're much needed for Canadians, especially when it involves our dear leader, the prime feminist of Canada. Yeah, Trudeau's got some issues. I hope he loses in his bid. I guess he suspended their parliament there in order to call a snap election. By the way, I think Biden's late. Yeah, I think, what time was this supposed to be live? I don't even know anymore. I mean, it might be a total different address. I don't know. There's nothing I can do on my end. It says we will begin shortly. It said that a half an hour ago. So the classic Biden timing. I can't wait. I hope you can hear it when it comes on. I do have the audio supposedly enabled. Stone Carter, trying to freak out my girlfriend while we work on a project together. Can you say, "Hi, Kyla Freeman, it's me, Styx, your Lord and Savior." Lol, thanks. Well, I just said it. So you can clip that out and put it on and freak her out a little bit while we work on a project. Journey Trials in J. Planning on building a home in the Philippines. Got a house in Ghana, where I was born. Long-term in the USA isn't something worthwhile. You agree? That's definitely a jump. Ghana to the US and then to the Philippines? Jesus. But yeah, I definitely think it's something worth it. I think if you're in the US, though, screw the Philippines. Just stay in the US. Just go to a low-tax state, I think. Go to Texas, maybe. Lucas Zupan, do you know who Nelk is? And if so, thoughts on their video with Trump? I have no clue who that is. Matthew Phillips, by the way, have you seen Kyle Dunnigan's The Fresh Prez of DC? Freaking hilarious. Kyle Dunnigan's a very talented impressionist. No, I haven't seen that. I'll have to look that up later. EpicMan004, I found it pretty hilarious that you called out Ethan Weinstein, who is an almost unknown newspaper editor. I bet he wishes he kept that McDonald's job. Another Weinstein bites the dust. Clank! Yeah, the Mountain Times assistant editor trying to go after a local gun shop that I myself have bought several firearms at. So you fucked with the wrong one, dude. Very, very sad. The internet's forever. Archive.today. Always use it. Arthur Renee. Hey, Styx, I've been feeling down lately. Do you think there is hope for a libertarian America in the future? I need a white pill, lol. Yeah, when people realize how bad it is, it's moving in that direction. The leftoids are trying to convince you to not fight at all. They're losing. Josh and Jesus, do a parody of Paradise City called Socialist City. Yeah, that definitely wouldn't be a paradise, would it? Eric A, $4.99, no comment, thank you. Janet Partridge, I work in a plant nursery, so I've been able to work watering the plants during the New Zealand lockdown. I feel bad for those locked up in like criminals. Keep up the fab work and thank you. Yeah, that's the way to do it. And by the way, plant nursery, that's like the greatest job. Working in greenhouses is great. Got to do that a little bit at UVM, although not as much as I wanted to. Got to water some plants, do a few transplants, clean the floors. In the middle of winter, though, they've got the sodium vapor lamps going. It feels just like sunlight. Oh, man, that was the biggest rush ever. It was like, can I work for free? John Patrick McNown. Guns and mass shootings are banned in Australia, unless we're talking about preventing people from rescuing dogs. That's okay. Yeah, I saw that. That's a crazy-ass story. I do a video about it. Josh Toy, the Apple's child protection nonsense ties into COVID tracing. They find you disagree with them, use COVID tracing as a reason to round up dissidents. Yeah, that's why I think that everyone should own things in the proprietary sense. Keep it on removable storage. And stop using all Apple products. Boycott Apple. They use slave labor anyway. Fuck them. Fuck Tim Cook. Fuck the Apple crew. Everyone working for them is an idiot. Polyfrog64, do you think Kamala's political career is over? I saw photos of her over the last few days. 1,000-yard stare. She's staring off into space. Thoughts? Her career's not over, but her meaningful career ended before it began. She's meaningless. She's a diversity hire. Charles Doherty. So, Biden has put in an import ban on Russian weapons and ammo after the Taliban used this type of Cold War equipment to crush a modern army. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? But it'll help U.S. ammo manufacturers, so doesn't matter. The ammo will still be bought. It just will less if it will be foreign made, so it's not going to make a difference other than in price. Eric writes, Jahe, what are some fun Dutch phrases you've picked up that you think might be useful in English? I'd also be thrilled to hear your wife weigh in on this one. Keep up the great work, Styx. Clank. Most of the phrases that I know are dirty things, so I won't say them on the live stream. I don't know what's allowed on YouTube anymore. I know a lot of vocabulary, like a lot of actual words, a lot of it food-related, animal-related, because, you just pick it up as you go along. Conjugating it together to have a conversation, I'm a little bit more iffy on. I do my best. It'll take years. Stephen, Sticks, do you think arguing with uninformed persons helps to change the public consensus, or is it a waste of time trying to reach some people? Keep in mind when you're debating, you're not trying to change the mind of the other person, you're trying to change the mind of the unbiased observer. That's my best advice. Don't debate the person, debate the ideas and try to win over the people that are on the fence that are watching. Journey Trials in J. I am actually from Ghana, England, Canada, and the USA. Oh, that's a lot of backgrounds. Jesus. Well, more power to you. That's called diversity. That's the diversity that Biden doesn't want. My second nephew, been watching you for years. Always interesting. Excellent. I wish Biden would come online so I could take a break for like 2 minutes and then make sardonic comments about his stupidity. Graph on Tyrol. In an ideal world, not only will Biden resign, the executive branch, the Pentagon, intelligence, everyone. This was a complete disgrace. Even Carter's problems were mostly beyond his control. Yeah, I mean, he is worse than Jimmy Carter. I wasn't alive for Carter's presidency, but hearing my parents talk about it, they were, adults at a time. Yeah, Biden's worse. And he's only been in office for less than a year. Yeah, good years ahead. Can't wait for the rest of the first half of the 2020s. Travis Bird, Sticks. What are your thoughts on the Capitol boomer guy? Seems like the first false flag to start addressing homegrown terror. Capitol boomer guy. I haven't heard of that concept, so I don't know. Astral Walker. Thoughts on Trump's recent rally? He got booed for endorsing the vax and got cheers from the same crowd for saying everything woke turns to shit. Yeah, but there are a lot of people like Anomaly out there that think that the idea of telling people that they should get vaxxed is somehow like treason or something. The vax is there. Some people benefit from it. I don't have a problem with him promoting it. He fast-tracked it. I just have a problem with the idea of mandatory vax, COVID passports, things like that. I don't care if a vaccine exists. If a person wants to get it, let them get it. They should be able to get whatever. It's a free market. It's a free country. People should be able to jab whatever they want into their bodies. They should also be able to drink unpasteurized milk and roll around in sewage if they want to. Aaron Anderson came across the CDC's estimated burden of COVID. 120.2 million estimated infections with a 95% uncertainty interval. Wow. Yeah, a lot of people have been infected. A lot of them had to get a test to know that they had ever been infected. Magical. Orwell's Goon. My bookbinding skills are improving by the day and would love to build one of your occult texts to highlight my products. Clank up the good work. If you DM me on Twitter, if you do hardcover or general binding, I do have some compilations. I wouldn't mind seeing them in a 5-volume set, actually. Something like that. It's a limited edition sort of thing. If indeed your bookbinding skills are good, yeah, we can collaborate potentially on that. I'd have to see some work. There'd have to be a contract and so forth. Work over the numbers. Yeah, that could potentially happen. I've got a whole bunch of compilations of occult literature, and those are longer, and they're kind of, for me, they're more important because I did expanded forwards. I re-edited all those works a second time, which meant that any errors that I didn't get before are completely redacted. They're perfect. And there's, I think, 5 or 6 of the compilations. Demonology, folk medicine, folklore, alchemy, and a few others. They are important. There's an occult reference work as well. I'd have to modify them further because otherwise they compete with Amazon. That's against their TOS. But I mean, if I put in a new forward, if I alter them a bit, give them new cover art, yeah, we could collaborate. Matt Kokot, PLN, $5 or I don't know exactly what that's denominated in, but thank you very much. No comment. Travis Bird, Capitol bomber, supposed revolutionary who was arrested at the Capitol with ANFO the other day. Oh, yeah, the Capitol bomber. Yeah, I didn't get what you were referring to. I don't have any thoughts on that. It seems to be a non-issue. The legacy media would have played it up more if it were truly a distraction, which means it's probably just a psycho. Epic Man 004, patience. Those adult diapers take a while to put on. Yeah, Biden is 18 minutes late. He's fashionably late, as I'm sure he would call it. Multi-Drider, what do you want to do in the next life? You want to LARP like me now? Like how I mentioned in Star Wars, or do you have other plans? I hope that when I die, I get the option, under Matrix theory, maybe this would happen, as just reincarnating instantly as a god. Oh, Biden's going live. Hopefully you can hear him. Tell me if you can hear him. Tell me if you can hear Biden in the comments.
Weekend with my national security team. I want to update the American people on our ongoing evacuation operation in Afghanistan.
Can everyone hear him?
First, I just was briefed by the FEMA administrator who's here with me today, Ms. Criswell, about the flash flooding in Waverly, Tennessee, and surrounding areas in Tennessee. I want to begin by expressing my deepest condolences for the sudden and tragic loss of life due to this flash flood. I know we've reached out to the community.
By the way, I cannot turn him up. My system volume is what's being used.
Speak to Governor Lee of Tennessee right away, and we'll offer any assistance they need.
All right, that's the best I can do.
Let me also say a few words. Was now tropical storm, not hurricane, Henri, which made landfall at approximately 12:15 this afternoon in Rhode Island. Henri is impacting much of the Northeast right now.
Should be better.
I want to talk about our efforts to prepare and respond to this storm. We have been closely monitoring Henri's progress and making the necessary preparations. Fortunately, it's no longer a hurricane. It's been downgraded to a tropical storm. And we are taking it seriously, though, because the size and the storm surge and the rainfall is producing. It's also impacting an area of the country that has already experienced heavy rainfall over the past several days. And while New Englanders are used to dealing with some tough weather, this storm had
This is as loud as it goes.
Consequences across the region with significant flooding and power outages that could affect hundreds of thousands of people. And so we're doing everything we can now.
Tell me if this makes it quieter.
Prepare, respond, and recover. I can't think of anyone better to lead this operation than Deanne Criswell of FEMA. Before she headed up FEMA, she led the emergency response in New York City, and she was one of the key federal officials leading the response to Superstorm Sandy. She knows this area very, very well and knows what's needed better than anyone. Yesterday, I talked with the administrator and each of the governors in the key states most likely to be affected. I urged them to take advantage of the assistance FEMA can offer in advance and committed to do everything we can to support their communities through the storm and afterwards. FEMA has already pre-positioned resources in the region to speed our ability to respond, including food, water, and life-saving communications equipment, as well as generators. In close cooperation with the electrical sector, preparations are in place to address significant power outages, and resources and supports is staged at the edge of this storm to be able to move quickly in to help.
Come on, man. The
Thousands
resources
of
is in
additional
place.
line crews and vegetation clearing crews from other states and from Canada are already heading.
I love how
toward
they
the
have the
impacted
person on the
states,
side for anyone who's deaf
ready to
listening
serve.
to him. Imagine having that
move in
job.
as soon as it's feasible. They'll clean up fallen trees, help local utilities repair damaged lines, and restore electrical service as fast as possible. I want to thank these crews for their commitment to helping their fellow citizens in time of need. I've already approved emergency declarations for Rhode Island, Connecticut, and New York, which activates funds.
Vermont, meanwhile, can fuck
we
itself,
can get in
according to
there
Joe
and help
Biden.
as soon as this extreme weather has moved through. We don't know the full extent of the storm's impact today, but we're acting to prepare for and prevent damage as much as possible, and to speed help to affected communities so they can recover as quickly as possible.
I'm interested
I
as
also
to
want to
whether he'll
encourage
take
everyone to do
questions
their part to prepare.
and how many will be about
Follow the guidance from
Afghanistan.
their local
He
authorities.
promised us an address
Some
on
places have
that.
already had heavy rains and winds and dangerous storm surges. Henri is going to continue to move across much of the Northeast, so it's important to monitor it closely and be prepared in your home, in your community. Make sure you have the supplies for your entire household, including
Climate
necessary
change caused a
medications,
hurricane.
food,
Make sure to
water,
get more green
battery-powered
energy.
radios in case of extended power outages. And don't forget that you may need to seek shelter while you're battling the Delta variant and
He's bringing up COVID.
So wear a mask and try to observe social distance.
When you're drowning,
everyone
wear a
across the country,
mask. It'll save your
Don't
life
get
from the
caught by
Delta
the next
variant.
storm. Get vaccinated. Get vaccinated
Get
now.
vaccinated against the
Protect
hurricane.
yourself and your family against COVID-19. It's going to be a vital part of emergency preparedness this year for the remainder of this year.
Jesus Christ.
Now let me turn to Afghanistan.
Oh, here he goes.
I've continued to make progress since I've spoke to you on Friday. We have moved thousands of people each day via U.S. military aircraft and civilian charter flights. In a little over 30 hours this weekend, we've evacuated an extraordinary number of people.
We've evacuated the people we didn't evacuate before we gave the country to the Taliban.
That number will change day to day as the air and ground operations in Kabul vary. Our first priority in Kabul is getting American citizens out of the country as quickly and as safely as possible. At my direction, the State Department continues to reach out to the remaining Americans we have identified by phone, email, and other means.
Oh yeah, by the way, really quickly, they did try to draft civilian airlines into their airlifts. That's how incompetent it is.
Americans to safety and to safely and effectively move them to the airport compound. For security reasons, I'm not going to go into the detail of what these plans entail.
That's because he has no plans.
Day that I have said before, any American who wants to get home will get home.
Whether in a casket or in a seat.
Citizens of our NATO allies and our partners, including their diplomats, their embassy staff, who remain in Afghanistan, and to get them back to their homes as well. And as we do this, we're also working to move our Afghan allies who stood with us side by side and other vulnerable Afghans, such as women leaders and journalists.
And soon they'll be in your communities.
As of this morning, we have evacuated nearly 28,000 people since August the 14th on both U.S. and coalition aircraft, including civilian charters.
What Biden doesn't tell you is that most of those aren't Americans, though.
Persons. In one 24-hour period.
More people watching us, by the way, right now than watching
flights,
the official stream on the White House.
14 C-17s, 9 C-130 flights left Kabul carrying 3,900 passengers. We see no reason why this tempo will not be kept up. During the same period, our military facilitated another 35 charter flights, carrying an additional 4,000 evacuees to other countries that are taking them out.
How many of the Afghans are little girls that he's going to hide in the White House and sniff repeatedly?
It's an incredible operation. Let me be clear. The evacuation of thousands of people from Kabul is going to be hard and painful, no matter when it started. When
Biden is telling you it's going to be painful, that's not a good sign.
There is no way to evacuate this many people without pain and loss of heartbreaking images you see on television.
He's literally straight up telling us we're going to see heartbreaking images on the legacy media channels. What the fuck?
So thousands of people a day out of Kabul. We're bringing our citizens, NATO allies, Afghanis who in fact has helped us in the war effort. But we have a long way to go, and a lot could still go wrong. But to move.
He's saying a lot could still go wrong. What more could possibly go wrong than already has? Jesus.
It also reflects a tireless diplomatic effort. In order to keep a steady flow of planes taking off from Kabul and maximize our evacuation capacity, we have quickly stood up an unprecedented global effort and established a series of processing stations in third countries. In short, we're not flying them directly to their country, we're flying to these processing stations, where we're working with more than 24 countries across 4 continents. We've secured agreements with across the Gulf, in Central Asia, and in Europe, including processing centers in Qatar, Germany, Kuwait, Spain, and elsewhere. It allows us to sort and process these
This
evacuees.
Is worse than W.
These transit centers provide a safe place for the SIV applicants and other vulnerable Afghanis and their families to complete their paperwork while we conduct security screenings and background checks before they continue on to their final destination in the United States or in another country, one of our NATO allies as well. And so from Asia to Africa, from Europe to the Western Hemisphere, nations are making generous offers to support resettlement efforts. And I've been in personal contact with the leaders of many countries, including Qatar, Germany, Spain, Italy, the UAE, and others. They're making.
By the way, I'm being told it's better if I just pause this. This is nuts. This is way worse than W. George W. Bush was more of a wordsmith than this. We'll let him continue to hang himself here verbally.
Making vital contributions. To thank them for their support and to discuss how we can continue to coordinate our efforts in Afghanistan moving forward is the reason why I continue in contact. And I want to again thank all of our partners for their continuing to stand together. We've also activated the first stage of what's referred to as the Civil Reserve Air Fleet to help with.
This is where he talks about how he's pressing United Airlines and Delta and shit into service because the Air Force doesn't have enough aircraft to airlift people out because of his incompetence. This is, by the way, this is a victory, according to Beijing Biden.
The onward movement of evacuees from these transit centers. Our military aircraft and others will get them to these centers, but then we're going to get the Civil Reserve Fleet. It's a program was designed in the wake of the Berlin airlift after World War II to use commercial aircraft to augment our airlift capacity. This is a voluntary program for our commercial airlift.
Just imagine if a U.S. president had said, well, the Navy can't quite cut it. We need fishing vessels to be retrofitted with armor and weapons. We're going to be using them in the Navy. People would be laughing out fucking loud, and then he'd be fucking crying. Can you imagine if that was necessary? Even Jimmy Carter didn't have this problem. Still, fuck. Oh my God, I can't even understand. How would people vote for this moron?
Airlines. And we're grateful for those airlines and the U.S. carriers who are supporting us. This effort will only use 3 or 4 planes from each of the major carriers, vast fleets of aircraft. So there should be no effect or a minimal effect on commercial air travel. And we'll stay in close coordination with our partners.
We're sorry that your flight got bumped. A bunch of people in Afghanistan, they've waited for the last 7 days. They're almost starving, and we had to airlift them out. Biden's just retarded, so, we diverted your aircraft.
To mitigate any impact. These Civil Reserve flights will be helping facilitate the safe movement of people from staging locations and transit centers like Qatar or Germany to the United States or to a third country. None of them will be landing in Kabul. Now, the American aircraft that part of this will not be going to any country but the United States. As this effort unfolds, I want to.
This nonsense, literally nobody even gives a fucking shit about. Nobody even cares about where the aircraft are going. Look at him run out the clock. He probably won't take questions at the end too. And that's by design, because he knows that he can't answer them.
Be clear about 3 things. 1, planes taking off from Kabul are not flying directly to the United States. They're landing at U.S. military bases and transit centers around the world.
By the way, that's Biden's way of admitting that there's a terror threat if they were direct flights. But nobody will understand that if they're watching CNN or MSNBC.
Number 2, at these sites where they're landing, we are conducting thorough security screening for everyone who is not a U.S. citizen or a lawful permanent resident.
Again, he's admitting that there's a terror threat actively because of the evacuations. That's basically what this boils down to. Just so that everyone knows, they're afraid of somebody putting a bomb on a plane or something like that. Why would they screen people otherwise? Oh, it's just a bunch of civilians. We're airlifting them out. Well, no, it's not. There are probably Taliban fighters among them. That's the problem. Oh boy, if that blows up, it really blows up in Biden's face now, doesn't it?
Anyone arriving in the United States will have undergone a background check. Number 3, once screened and cleared, We will welcome these Afghans who helped us in the war effort over the last 20 years to their new home in the United States of America.
Look at how he says we. I bet that those Afghan interpreters won't be in his neighborhood. I don't think that we includes Joe Biden. I don't think that he'll be welcoming them. What about J.K. Rowling with the refugees in the UK? Somehow it never comes to their neighborhoods, their gated communities. I wonder why. They're so diverse and so tolerant. You think, I mean, don't you want an Afghan food cart, Joe, on your street corner? Don't you want to have a mosque down the street? You can go and pray in the mosque. You're so diverse. You do it for show, but only if it were a Saudi-sponsored mosque that had like gold and diamonds and shit decorating it. I suppose that the one down the street's below you, right, Joe? Little Joey? Of course it is.
Because that's who we are. That's what America is. You know, I've been touched by
That's what America is. Us versus them. In this case, the us is Joe Biden and his rich friends versus literally everybody else. So they'll dump the Afghan interpreters in some fucking ghetto. And then Joe Biden will go back to his gated community, after he has his next aneurysm or chases his dog out of the shower and then falls down and breaks his foot again. He'll go back to his gated community in his multi-million-dollar home, and then the only Afghan around will be his maid that he rapes repeatedly.
The outpouring of support that we've seen
Retard.
from communities, organizations across America mobilizing to support these efforts. So many of these Afghans stood bravely by U.S. troops in Afghanistan. And now, the United States, including veterans groups, refugee settlement agencies, religious organizations, and so many others, are standing with our Afghan allies. It exemplifies the best of America. And I want to say again, just how difficult this mission is and how dangerous the dangers it poses to our troops on the ground. The security environment is changing rapidly. There are civilians crowded at the airport, although we've cleared thousands of them. We know that terrorists may seek to exploit the situation and target innocent Afghans.
Now, I want you to remember one thing. He's talking about the possibility of terrorists exploiting the situation, but he's openly said, well, just trust the Taliban. They'll let Americans through their barricades. It's okay. If you're an American, you can go to the Kabul airport. Don't worry about those checkpoints that they've set up where they have their flags and stuff. It's okay. Trust them. He trusted them with 50 cal ammo and Humvees and stuff. But they might be plotting something. Keeping that in mind.
American troops. They're maintaining constant vigilance. We're maintaining the constant vigilance to monitor and disrupt threats from any source, including the likely source being ISIS-K, the Afghan affiliate referred to as ISIS-K. But we're under no illusions about the threat. I said on Friday, ISIS-K is a sworn enemy of the Taliban, and they have.
Now he's claiming that the Taliban and ISIS are enemies. Loosely, but only because the U.S. was there. They're going to be allies soon, Joe. But see, he's too fucking stupid to understand these things. He's not even in charge.
History of fighting one another. But every day we have troops on the ground. These troops and innocent civilians at the airport face the risk of attack from ISIS-K from a distance, even though we're moving back the perimeter.
You know why he's calling it ISIS-K? Because he doesn't want people realizing that ISIS is back in general. The JV team of Obama that disappeared when Trump was president because he fucked around with them and bombed them. But Biden won't do that because he's a weakling, spineless, pathetic retard.
Significantly. We're working hard and as fast as we can to get people out. That's our mission. That's our goal. And our determination to get every American citizen home and to evacuate our Afghan allies is unwavering. We continue to see not only the enormous scope and scale of the effort, we will see the individual lives that are affected, the families that are desperate to get home to their loved ones in America, the communities of veterans who have mobilized to try to help their former interpreters get to safety, the frightened Afghans who aren't sure what to do. To state the obvious, it's heartbreaking. We're all seeing it. We see it. We feel it. You can't look at it and not feel it. Nothing about this effort is easy, but the women and men of the United States Armed Forces are acting bravely and with professionalism and with a basic human.
He feels it in his cock when he thinks about all the children that ISIS is raping. He gets that feeling. It's called jealousy, Joe.
Compassion. I want to offer my profound thanks to our service members on the ground in Kabul and to all those at U.S. bases around the world who are welcoming and caring for these evacuees. And to all the diplomats and civil servants who are working around the clock to rescue American citizens, the citizens of our allies, our Afghan partners, vulnerable Afghans such as women leaders and journalists. What we are doing is extraordinary. And you have to think of the...
Yeah, Joe, it's extraordinary. You pissed away 20 years of effort and $2 trillion and accomplished nothing because your ego was so big that you wouldn't stick to the initial withdrawal date. Really extraordinary, dude. Can you imagine this? He wouldn't have been elected. 30 years ago, people would have laughed at him as a joke, and they did. That's the worst part. People knew he was a joke. He ran before several times. People used to make jokes about how incompetent he was, including a bunch of Democrats. It's the worst part. They knew
all
better.
They're doing, thanks to the people who, from all over the world, who are helping this effort. So I want to thank you, and I'll keep you informed every day as we move forward.
Sure you will, Joe.
May God protect our troops and our diplomats, and who are serving in harm's way. Now I'll take a few questions. Darlene from the Associated Press.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Here come the softball questions. You know there'll be softballs because he took them at all.
We're 9 days away from the August 31st deadline. Will you extend that deadline, or what is your thought process on extending the evacuation operation?
There's discussions going on among us and the military about extending. Our hope is we will not have to extend, but there are going to be discussions, I suspect, on how far along we are in the process.
Mr. President.
Mario Parker, Bloomberg.
Thank you, Mr. President.
These are literally pre-approved questions, by the way. So I doubt there'll be one from Peter Doocy unless it's something about his ice cream flavors. This is classic Joe Biden.
Just to piggyback off the August 31st deadline, you told the G7 in Cornwall you promised them support back in June. If they ask for a larger or a longer American presence past the August 31st deadline, what will you tell them on Tuesday, sir?
I will tell them that we'll see what we can do. Look, we are working closely with the G7. I've spoken with most of the leaders of G7. I'll be doing a conference with them, I think Tuesday, I'm not certain. And we'll have that discussion.
He's not even certain when he is going to be conferencing with other world leaders. It might be Tuesday. I'm not certain, man. Tuesday and Thursday, they look a lot alike. They start with a T, they end in day. Shit, I don't know.
Discussion, but we already have helped get out diplomats from other countries. We've already helped get out citizens from other countries, and we'll continue to do that.
And Mr. President, it sounded like you've extended operations into Kabul outside of the airport. Is that correct?
What I'm not going to do is talk about the tactical changes we're making to make sure we maintain as much security as we can. We have constantly, how can I say it, increased rational access to the airport where more folk can get there more safely.
See, now he has just completely goddamn lost me. This is the moment where his Alzheimer's medication wears off and he starts saying weird stuff. So I guess we should prepare. Buckle your seatbelts because it only goes downhill from here. By the way, there are 7,000 people watching us. There are 5,000 people watching the official White House stream. Just to be clear about the relativity here.
It's still a dangerous
Low
operation,
tech
but
as
I
I
don't
am.
want to go into the detail of how we're doing
Mr. President.
that.
Nuts.
Andrew from the Wall Street Journal.
Thanks, Mr. President. Our reporting on the ground shows that Afghans with the proper paperwork are still having trouble getting to the airport. Some said they feel abandoned by the U.S. U.S. Embassy staff some U.S. Embassy staff that are Afghan haven't been able to make it into the airport as well. Why isn't the U.S. doing more to allow Afghans into the airport, to ensure access to the airport? you still opposed to setting up an extended perimeter around the airport to help ease that access?
When you look at his face when he takes questions, by the time the question has ended, he's forgotten the first half of the question. And I'm not even being hyperbolic. You can see him glaze over. Can't wait to see what he says.
Number one, I think you're going to see they're going to get out. Number two, we have made a number of changes, including extending access around the airport and the safe zone. And we've done a number of things. Again, I don't want to get into detail about it, but the fact is that more and more of the groups we urgently want to get out of Afghanistan, starting with American citizens and the folks who worked in the embassies and personnel with our allies, as well as the Afghans who helped them and worked in those embassies, as well as those who helped them on the battlefield as well. We are working diligently to make sure we've increased the ability to get them out. We've changed the gate operations and a whole range of things. And that's why we've been able to significantly increase the number of people we're getting out.
Can I ask this? Why does there need to be an airport safe zone? Why weren't they out to begin with? We had a plan to withdraw literally 6 weeks before he got us out, and it was all set. Safe zone, my ass. The Kabul airport, fuck the Kabul airport. We should have abandoned the whole country completely by now. We should have been out months ago. But Joe, I mean, that would be too easy. Again, Joe Biden's he's been a legislator most of his life. He was in the Senate. He doesn't understand simplicity. He's still, he's stuck in his bizarre head where everything needs to be second guessed, executive style.
The Taliban agreed to an extension past August 31st. We discussed that with them.
We've discussed a lot with the Taliban. They've been cooperative in extending some of the perimeter.
So the Taliban is cooperative, but they're afraid of terrorist attacks. Again, let that sink in, the double standard, the contradiction. It's in contradiction that we understand when politicians are lying. Well, we got to have higher security here because there might be a terrorist attack, but they've been cooperative. Oh, they're basically my pals. I go and I play football with that. Joe Biden has a lot in common with the Taliban. He too likes 6-year-old girls.
It remains to be seen whether we ask that question. Ed, fire away. I don't want you jumping over that.
Following up on Nick's question, because the United States is now negotiating with the Taliban over airport access and such, do you now trust them? And then a question on the public response. A new poll out today shows Americans wanted to withdraw from Afghanistan, but they disapprove of the way you've handled it. Poll also found that based in part on what's transpired in the last week, the majority of Americans, forgive me, I'm just the messenger, no longer consider you to be competent, focused, or effective in the job.
I haven't seen that poll.
It's out.
Of course, Joe hasn't seen that poll because his handlers don't want to show him anything that'll upset him. I honestly think, I really do believe him when he says that. It's because other people are running the country right now. And that's very unfortunate. That's worse than Joe Biden running the country. Bar the nuclear codes, the worst that he can do is bumble around. Okay, then they do what they did with Ronald Reagan. They throw leaves into the swimming pool and then he cleans them repeatedly.
CBS this morning. What would you say to those Americans who no longer believe they
Look.
can do the job?
Look, man.
I had a basic decision to make. I either withdraw America from a 20-year war that, depending on whose analysis you accept, cost us $150 million a day for 20 years or $300 million a day for 20 years. I carry this card with me every day.
Whenever he goes into his vest to grab something, you know he's lying as well.
And who...
Not the first time he's done that.
Where we lost 2,448 Americans dead and 20,722 wounded.
And here's the false dichotomy. You either withdraw from Afghanistan Joe Biden's way, or somehow you don't withdraw from Afghanistan at all. There is no middle ground. No other way to withdraw, no other way to do anything. It's Joe Biden's way. And that's all it is, man. You got to challenge the Taliban to a push-up contest. Otherwise, something desperately wrong.
Increase the number of forces we keep there and keep that going. All right, end the war. and I decided to end the war. As I said the other day,
Oh, now Joe Biden is saying he decided to end the war. That's interesting. There was a withdrawal deal, my bastard friend, that was brokered for May 1st. It was by your predecessor. Who was that? Was it Donald Trump? Yeah, I believe it was. You could have gotten out then and this wouldn't have happened. But see, he's trying to straw man everyone. He's trying to convince them that he is responsible for the good part of it, and the bad part was a foregone conclusion. Now, the American people aren't buying it.
you know, the only reason we're in Afghanistan is this is the place from which bin Laden attacked the United States of America.
That's horseshit. He was killed in Pakistan.
Had this been in another Middle Eastern country where he could have easily have moved from, we would have never gone to Afghanistan. So the
That's also horseshit. We would have invaded for the fentanyl crop anyway.
question is, when is the right time to leave? Where are our national interests? Where do they lie? And the idea that we are in a situation where we can not recognize that terrorism has metastasized around the world, and the need for us to focus on other parts of the world which create an even greater danger of an Al-Qaeda-like operation beginning can't be.
That's very interesting. When doesn't that sound ominous? Doesn't that sound almost like he's predicting the rise of some other terrorist group that we'll have to tangle with, like, a few years from now? Like there's going to be another 9/11 at some point to distract people, and then we're going to invade some other country, maybe Iran, maybe it's Syria, maybe it's Egypt or Libya or something. Everyone's going to remember this, years from now when we invade the next fucking country. I get a little bit of a tingle when I think about that. What he just said, that's goddamn ominous. Very telling. Sounds like a cry for war.
Be ignored. And we are, as you well know, because you follow this, we are a number of places where we're doing that without permanent basing American forces there. So I think when this is over, the American people have a clear understanding of what I did, why we did it. And but look, that's the job. My job is to make judgments. My job is to make judgments no one else can or will make. I made them. I'm convinced I'm absolutely correct in not deciding to send more young women and men to war for a war that in fact is no longer warranted.
On the question of the Taliban, though, do you trust them now? Do you have to negotiate?
I don't trust anybody, including you. I love you, but there's
So now Joe Biden is saying the legacy media is like the Taliban. First time I've agreed with him, by the way, on this stream.
not a lot of people I trust to look.
I don't even trust my wife, man. Yesterday, she put my socks on wrong. I had the red sock on the left foot and the green sock on the right foot. Then I went outside and I said, man, I look like corn pop. What the fuck is wrong with this dude? Holy shit. There are actually people who pulled the lever to vote for him, too. I know a lot of them were dead voters, but, some of them were alive at least.
Taliban has Taliban has to make a fundamental decision. Is the Taliban going to attempt to be able to unite and provide for the well-being of the people of Afghanistan, which no one group has ever done since before dealing for hundreds of years? And if it does, it's going to need everything from additional help in terms of economic assistance, trade, and a whole range of things.
Hey, the Taliban's got to choose whether it wants to take my money or not. That's essentially what he's saying boils down to.
Taliban has said, we'll see whether they mean it or not. They're seeking legitimacy. They're seeking legitimacy to determine whether or not they will be recognized by other countries. They have told other countries as well as us, they don't want us to move our diplomatic presence completely. But so all this is all just talk now. All just talk now. And so far, the Taliban has not taken action against U.S. forces. So far.
That's interesting because the other day it was said that the Taliban and ISIS and those groups were harassing a bunch of U.S. citizens trying to get to the Kabul airport, and they had to reroute them. That was a legacy media news report. So they're not taking action against U.S. forces. Okay, they're not getting into a firefight, but they're still harassing U.S. citizens,
Or
right?
they have,
Joey?
by and large, followed through on what they said in terms of allowing Americans to pass through and the like. And I'm sure they don't control all of their forces. It's a ragtag force. And so we'll see.
So now Joe Biden's claiming the Taliban is ragtag. So then why are you conducting diplomacy with them? These two things, one of these things is not like the other, Joe. The number of contradictions in a Joe Biden speech, man, I should analyze all of his goddamn speeches. We've still got, at peak, still 2,500 more people watching than the official White House stream. Not a surprise at all.
We'll see whether or not what they say turns out to be true. But the bottom line is this, folks. Look, at the end of the day, if we didn't leave Afghanistan now, when do we leave? Another 10 years?
Oh, here he goes with the false dichotomy again. Well, if we didn't leave exactly as I chose to leave, now pushing it back 6 extra weeks, we'd be in there forever. I guarantee that if Trump hadn't inked that deal, we'd still be in Afghanistan and be in there for 10 years again. Joe Biden didn't want to get out of Afghanistan. Donald Trump did. Biden just screwed up the withdrawal.
Another 5 years? Another year? I'm not about to send your son or your daughter to fight in Afghanistan.
No.
I don't see.
Yeah, no, he's not going to send your son or daughter to Afghanistan. He wants to send them to Iran or Syria or Libya or something like that. Probably happen in the next year.
Where that is in our overwhelming interest. And to talk about how our interests are going to be impacted. Let me tell you, you're sitting in Beijing or you're sitting in Moscow. Are you happy we left? They love nothing better for us to.
Now Joe Biden's just being creepy. I don't even know what he's talking about. He's gone off the rails. His dementia meds are wearing off.
Continue to be bogged down there, totally occupied with what's going on. So the idea, I think that history is going to record. This was the logical, rational, and right decision to make. So thank you all so very much. Thank you.
Oh, there he goes. Yeah, no more questions allowed. Oh, maybe.
They're going to discuss sanctions on Tuesday. Would you support sanctions against the Taliban under certain conditions? On Friday, you mentioned harsh conditions if they misbehave.
The answer is yes. It depends on the conduct. Thank you.
Mr. President, what about ISIS and the threat that Americans face now?
Depends on the conduct, man. If the Taliban does what I say, then no problems. This is Joe Biden. Close that tab out. And there you go. There was Joe Biden's magnificent speech. Initially had nothing to do with Afghanistan at all. He talked about the weather, basically. Very, very interesting. Not really interesting, actually. So many super chats. By the way, to everyone who sent super chats, I do apologize. I only got to about half of them, but I did have to analyze what Joe Biden was saying, most of which was mumble-mouthed, off-the-rails horse shit. There were so many contradictions, though. It's like, come on, dude. What are you doing? Get Kamala out there. Maybe Kamala can explain it better for the American people. Maybe you should have Antony Blinken out. Oh, wait, he's too busy blaming everyone else for his problems. Anyway, there's a little bit of Joe Biden speaking, live reaction. Took a little bit longer. In the future, when I do this, I will definitely use pause as opposed to mute like I did initially. I do apologize for that, but this is literally the first time that I've done this. I didn't even know that I could do screen share with audio on StreamYard before today. So I do apologize, but keep in mind, Biden is supposedly going to be asterisk president for the next 3 years. There's plenty of opportunities for more live streams now. And we were, by the way, not only were we measured in Biden loser units, we had more people watching this stream at peak, and still do actually, than were watching the official White House stream. There was only 5,000 people at peak there. There were almost 8,000 here. Should give you, by the way, Biden's very, very popular. Very, very popular man. 80 million people voted for him. I'm wondering how many of those people still had a pulse. So yeah, that was fun. I'm definitely going to do this again. It was pretty great, honestly. Riffing on Biden. I mean, I know it's low-hanging fruit at times. I'd rather do a Kamala Harris speech, but she never makes a public speech, but fun anyway. That's about all. Peace out.